Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the From a Certain Point of View podcast. I'm Josh, and yesterday I went and saw Uncharted in our local Cinemark theater in XD, and I really enjoyed it overall. This film is way better than its Rotten Tomatoes score. Um, let's talk about that a little bit. So, Uncharted is at 40% right now on the tomato meter, according to critics, but if you look at the audience score, it's much higher at 90%. So you have a 50% difference there. So I'm not sure what the critics were looking for in this film, or if they even saw the same film I did, or the audience did, the other audience scores did. But I really enjoyed it and I just want to say I'm a huge fan of the video games. I've played all of the video games and really enjoyed them. Right now I'm actually replaying Uncharted 4 and having a lot of fun doing that. So I was already excited to go in and see this film, and I was very excited coming out of the theater yesterday because I had a big smile on my face. It was delightful. I laughed and smiled quite a lot, and really just it was a joy to watch. So I liked it from start to finish. I think I liked pretty much every single thing about it. So I don't have a whole lot of complaints. I mean, is it like a perfect film that's just like one of the best ever? No, but it really was satisfying as a video game player. And Uncharted is probably my favorite video game series of all time. So yeah, overall, I was very satisfied. Um, and that's my overall thoughts on it. But let's get into some other things, and there might be some minor spoilers throughout this part, but I'll save any major spoilers for the end. But yeah, let's talk about some of the performances first of all. And you had Tom Holland, of course, playing Nathan Drake, and I thought he did an outstanding job playing the character. I was a little bit concerned at first because I didn't know if I wanted Nathan Drake's character to be this young, but I shouldn't have doubted Tom Holland because he's a great actor and he does a tremendous job in this role. Um, and there's definitely some naive moments on his part. He's still young. He's still growing and learning the game, so to speak, of this treasure hunting business. And he starts out as kind of this bartender who has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. And he definitely has that Nathan Drake feel to him. And Tom Holland really bulked up for this role to, I think, make it a bit more convincing that he's Nathan Drake, which helped as far as I'm concerned. And let's talk about Mark Wahlberg. He played Victor Sullivan, who we know as Sully, and I think he did a fine job. I think it was one of those things where he's again much younger than you see him in the video game. Um, but I think Mark Wahlberg did a good job. I'm not a huge fan of Mark Wahlberg as an actor. He's not one of my favorite or anything, but I think he does a good job in this role. Um, where he's cracking a lot of jokes and being sarcastic, and I think that's kind of Mark Wahlberg's bread and butter. He's kind of a little on the shady side. You don't know if you can trust him or not. And there's a lot of that going on in the film, which adds to the fun of it. Um, Antonio Banderas is also in this film, but he's not in it a whole lot. Um, and that I'm not going to say anything more than that because I don't want to spoil anything. But I thought he would have a bigger role. One of the standouts for me was Sophia Ali as Chloe Fraser, and this is a character that we saw in the second Uncharted game. She showed up there, and I thought she was great in this. I thought she was a very dynamic character. Again, one of those characters you didn't know if you could trust her or not. What was her end game? What was she up to? Really enjoyed that character. Yeah, so there's a shot of Sophia Ali playing the Chloe character. Again, I really enjoyed the dynamic between her and the Nathan Drake character. Thought she did an outstanding job. And I would say our main villain here is kind of Braddock, who's played by Tati Gabriel. Hopefully, I pronounced that correctly. And I think she does a nice job in the villain role. Nothing outstanding, but very good. So I want to talk a little bit more about some things. There you can see again Tom Holland as the bartender. And, this movie really starts out, and let's talk a little bit about the story and the plot. Um, I like how the movie opens up and how it starts, and it opens up with one of the scenes that we've been seeing in the trailers a lot. But it's kind of a foreshadowing of what's going to come back around in the end because, and actually, it's more towards like the back half of the film when this scene happens. But we get a glimpse at it in the beginning, which was cool. And then it kind of transitions into a flashback of a young Nathan and his brother Sam, and they're at the orphanage. Um, and it's very reminiscent of a flashback scene we get in the Uncharted video game. I think that one was in Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. I could be wrong about that. But it was very reminiscent of that, and that kind of sets the stage for who Sam is, who Nathan is. Um, and then, of course, there's this treasure map that we come across, and ultimately we go on this treasure hunt. Another thing I really enjoyed about this film was all of kind of the along the treasure hunt. There's all these puzzles that they have to solve, and that's one of my favorite aspects of the game, and it was really neat seeing it here. And we see this familiar cross that comes up that came up in the video games, and it happens to be like a key to enter different tombs and everything. So I just loved all that stuff. I thought all that stuff was really well done. Very much enjoyed that. So another thing I'd like to talk about is the action in this film. The action was very exciting. There's a lot of great action scenes. We get, of course, Nathan Drake's different styles, whether it's hand to hand combat, which he's pretty adept in that area, and we see, of course, Tom Holland's Nathan Drake swinging across things, and he even gets a little bit of climbing in towards the end of the movie on a particular ship that we see. So that stuff was all fun. It really reminded me of the video game. It was very reminiscent of that, and towards the back half of the film, he finally gets his gun holster and everything, and gets does some shooting. So a lot of cool stuff that really again reminded me of the video game. So I enjoyed the action. I also felt like the runtime was really fitting. It was just under 2 hours, and I felt that the movie, went along at a very good pace. There weren't any really slow parts. I felt like the editing was good, and it moved along very well. So yeah, there were a lot of things that I thought were really well done. I might have mentioned the humor was good as well, and I really enjoyed again every minute and what happened in the end. And I am gonna talk a little spoilery here. So here's your spoiler warning. A couple things that come up towards the end of the film. Um, okay, so first of all, one thing that came up in this film was a cameo appearance by the voice actor, actually, for Nathan Drake in Uncharted. And the voice actor's name is Nolan North, and you can see a shot of him here. Which was really cool to hear his voice. It was kind of a random scene and just a random cameo, but the voice was definitely recognizable. Another thing that comes up towards the end here is we really get to see how Nathan and Sully become this team, because a lot of this film we don't know. We don't know if we can trust Sully. We don't know for sure. But he really proves himself at the end. Nathan's telling him the whole way through, like, how am I supposed to trust you? You did this, you did that. But he makes a choice to give up the gold to save Nathan towards the end. And I think that really solidifies their bond moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, there was a post credit scene where we do see Sully, Mark Wahlberg, have the mustache, the trademark mustache that he has, and it was a really cool post credit scene that kind of leads toward what might happen in the next film if there is another one. I really hope there is. And I think it has a lot to do with Nathan's ring that he wears around his neck, that was of course given to him by Sam, and we do see that Sam is alive in a jail cell, and he's been writing these postcards to Nathan. And I thought that was really cool how the secrets of the treasure were revealed on the postcards written by Sam. So that was another nice touch. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a lot of fun. Again, it's way better than its Rotten Tomatoes score of 40%. I highly recommend checking it out in the theater. I would love to see it again if the opportunity arises, and I'll definitely be purchasing this one. So I hope you enjoy it too. Let me know if you've seen it. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Uncharted. And if you haven't played the video games yet, make sure to do that. And also be sure to stay tuned to From a Certain Point of View for your movie news, reviews, and points of view. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take care, and we will see you next time. Everything I said today was true from a certain point of view.